Most people accept death as inevitable, but one man decided it doesn't have to be. At 48 years old, Bryan Johnson made a radical choice.
Modern-day explorer searching for the fountain of youth.
He would wage war against aging itself using artificial intelligence and turning his body into the world's most quantified laboratory. What he discovered challenges everything modern medicine taught us about the limits of human lifespan. For 6 years, he has spent $2 million annually, injected himself with his son's blood, documented every biomarker, and surrendered his free will to a custom AI algorithm that now makes decisions his own mind cannot. The result? He claims his body operates at elite 18-year-old levels while the rest of us age at normal speed. But the dark truth hiding beneath the Netflix documentary and the viral headlines is far more unsettling. This is not just a story about one man trying to cheat death. This is about artificial intelligence learning to perfect the human machine and what happens when it succeeds. When an algorithm becomes your god. Bryan Johnson was not always the face of transhumanism. He built Braintree, a payments company, sold it to PayPal for $800 million, and lived the typical Silicon Valley existence, working 70-hour weeks, destroying his body on stress and terrible food, watching himself age faster than time itself. At 42, he looked at the mirror and saw a worn-down, inflamed version of himself. He was deteriorating. But instead of accepting this as the natural order, Johnson asked a question that would reshape his entire existence. If he could trust an algorithm to optimize a GPS route or an investment portfolio, why not trust one to optimize his body? He assembled a team of 30 doctors, scientists, and longevity researchers. Together, they built an algorithm unlike anything previously attempted on a human subject. This was not a simple app. It was a living, breathing decision-making system that ingested thousands of biomarkers, blood work, genetic data, cardiovascular metrics, hormonal levels, even the quality of his stool and his nighttime erections. The algorithm analyzed this data against decades of longevity research and delivered directives. It told him when to eat, what to eat, how to exercise, which supplements to ingest, over 100 pills per day, more than 50 before breakfast alone. It dictated his sleep schedule, his sexual timing, his sauna sessions, his red light therapy duration. Johnson essentially removed human willpower from the equation. His mind became an observer rather than a decision maker. The algorithm controlled his body like a programmer controls code. The world watched in a mixture of fascination and horror. Here was a self-described, most measured man in history, publicly documenting his transformation. His blood plasma is reportedly exchanged with his teenage son, a practice called parabiosis, inspired by centuries-old mythology about youth restoration. He undergoes microneedling, full-body LED exposure, shockwave therapy on his genitals, continuous blood testing, whole-body MRI scans, and experimental therapies that exist at the frontier of approved science. Yet the results seem to justify the extremism. His biomarkers shifted into the top percentiles globally. His cardiovascular system, fertility, strength, and hormone profiles aligned with an elite athlete in his late teens. His biological age reversed approximately 10 years from his chronological age of 48. Then came the next evolution. Johnson introduced Bryan I, an artificial intelligence modeled directly on his own consciousness and decision-making patterns. This digital version of himself could now advise others on longevity optimization. He launched Netflix's Don't Die the Man Who Wants to Live Forever, turning himself into mythology. He founded the Blueprint brand, supplements, protocols, apps, creating a commercial ecosystem around his biohacking religion. And most recently, he announced the Immortals program access to his exact 5-year protocol for $1 million per year, limited to 3 clients, with Bryan AI available as a 24/7 concierge powered by his biological data. Within 30 hours, 1,500 people applied. Entrepreneurs, actors, athletes, politicians all competed for 3 seats at the table of potential immortality. This is the machinery of modern longevity culture. The rich and powerful now have a blueprint, quite literally, for engineering themselves beyond the common human lifespan. The criticism arrived immediately. Longevity scientists questioned whether his metrics translated to actual lifespan extension. Experts noted that genetics remain a fundamental limiting factor that no amount of supplements can overcome. Physicians pointed out that his continuous testing for rare diseases meant he would inevitably find false positives, triggering unnecessary procedures. His whole body MRI scanning protocol contradicts guidelines from the American College of Radiology, which warns that more data does not always mean better outcomes. The National Institute on Aging publicly stated that no intervention has yet been proven to halt or reverse human aging. Yet the narrative persists because Johnson constructed it as something beyond science. He positioned his work as species-level evolution, not individual optimization. His manifesto called it immortalism, the new ideology for humanity, equivalent to democracy or capitalism. He spoke of alignment with artificial intelligence, of humanity merging with superintelligence, of becoming a new species entirely. His project became millennial theology disguised as biohacking. Death was no longer a medical problem. It was an existential enemy, and the algorithm was the weapon. How AI is engineering immortality, the system Johnson created operates on a principle revolutionary in its implications. Every major decision affecting biological age now runs through artificial intelligence. The algorithm does not appeal to human preference or desire. It demands adherence. Eat your last meal at 11 in the morning, because the algorithm calculated that evening metabolism favors deterioration. Sleep for exactly 7 to 8 hours, because fractional deviations trigger aging at the cellular level. Exercise according to the algorithm's specifications, not more, not less, because excess creates inflammation. Take these 112 supplements daily because each one targets a specific aging pathway. Perform these specific therapies at these exact intervals. Live alone because companionship disrupts sleep optimization. Your mind no longer decides. The algorithm does. This represents the future architecture of high and longevity medicine. Wealthy individuals who can afford comprehensive biometric tracking, advanced diagnostics, AI analysis, and experimental therapies will experience a radically different aging trajectory than the general population. The technology trickling down will take decades. What the ultra-wealthy test today becomes accessible to the merely wealthy in 10 years, then to the upper middle class in 20 years. In 30 years, it becomes standard. But during the interim decades, aging becomes a function of wealth. A two-tier humanity emerges, those optimizing their bodies through AI surveillance and those aging naturally. The most unsettling element is not the extremism but the plausibility. Exercise, sleep optimization, metabolic health management, strategic supplementation, these are proven longevity interventions backed by decades of research. The Calorie trial demonstrated that moderate calorie reduction improves cardiometabolic profiles. Countless studies validate the relationship between cardiovascular fitness and lifespan. Sleep deprivation accelerates aging markers. Johnson is not inventing from fiction. He is weaponizing established science through obsessive quantification and algorithmic orchestration. The algorithm is simply doing what any rational system would do, optimizing every variable toward the stated goal maximum lifespan. This is the true innovation, not the individual therapies which remain controversial and unproven on the level of actual lifespan extension. The innovation is the system itself, using artificial intelligence to eliminate human subjectivity from the optimization process, creating feedback loops where biological data continuously informs and adjusts the protocol, building a living experiment that learns and adapts, scaling this through an AI version of Bryan Johnson that can service thousands of clients simultaneously without his physical presence. What the longevity industry discovered through Bryan Johnson is that death, reframed as an algorithmic problem, becomes solvable, not immediately, not with certainty, but solvable in theory. The moment you assign biological aging to an artificial intelligence designed for optimization, the framework shifts from acceptance to engineering, from "this is natural" to "this is a system that can be hacked." The data suggests Johnson may indeed have achieved something unprecedented, a radical slowing of personal aging through obsessive protocol adherence. Whether that extends his total lifespan remains unknowable. He will not die for decades. We cannot run the experiment to completion in real time. But the principle is proven with sufficient resources, measurement capability, and algorithmic guidance. Human aging can be substantially altered. The dark implication is that we are now witnessing the prototype for a new form of inequality. Not just wealth disparity, but lifespan disparity. The first humans to access comprehensive AI-driven longevity optimization in their 30s and 40s may experience 50-year age compression compared to the average population. In 200 years, when one human has biologically aged 10 years and another has aged 80, we will not be the same species anymore. Bryan Johnson is not attempting to achieve immortality for himself alone. He is beta, testing a future where the wealthy become a different form of human. The algorithm is the crucible of that transformation, and it works. The revolution is not coming. It is already here, documented in real time on Netflix, scaled through an AI chatbot, and sold to the highest bidder. The only question remaining is whether you have the resources and the willingness to surrender your autonomy to join it.